Guys, my first video is finally here. And even though I'm super excited and glad to be here, I will say today's topic is going to be a hard one. It's going to be a tough one, and it's probably going to be a trigger for a lot of people. But it's a story that needs to be told. It's a story that shouldn't have to have been lived, but since it has, it needs to be told. As I mentioned before, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So to me, it was important to launch my first video in October to advocate, to bring awareness, and also to tell my story. As a survivor, it is important to me that other women or men become survivors, that they leave that situation, that they're safe, that they're away from harm and away from trauma, that their children are safe and happy and living the way God meant for us to live, free, happy, and at peace. That being said, I thought it was fitting that I would be the first person to sit in this chair and be open to talk. So here I am. I'm going to take you guys back to 2017. I had been married for 7 years already. This was not the first incident of physical abuse, but I want to say it was like the most severe. It was 2017, December, towards the end of December. It was like almost going to be New Year's. We were going to be hosting New Year's that year. We were going to have friends and family over. This particular night, my ex-husband and I were arguing. It really wasn't anything that serious, to be honest. I think we were probably arguing either about his cheating or about his mom, because those were like famous topics in our home. But he becomes upset. I was 8 weeks pregnant. I had just found out that I was pregnant. And so we're arguing. He decides to push me into the glass sliding door. That moment I got upset, as anyone else would, and I shoved him back. You shoved me, I'm gonna shove you back. So he gets upset that I'm assuming I had to shove him back, because he's a big guy. He's about 300 pounds, almost 7 feet tall. And he knew that I was not afraid of him. So somehow we end up in the room, and he goes and gets his gun and points it to my head. And he was like so mad. Like there was just like so much rage in his eyes. And he dead looks at me and says, "I'm going to kill you like a fucking dog." Just like that. Like no stutter. "I'm going to kill you like a fucking dog." Hence, we had what? My son was like, we had 2 little kids, actually, now that I think about it. So I had like a 5 and a 4-year-old, and then I had my older children were in the other room as well. So at that moment, I wasn't scared. Like I wasn't scared to die. Like the actual act of passing, I wasn't afraid of that. I was afraid of my kids seeing me in that situation. I was afraid of my kids hearing something, coming in the room and seeing their mom dead. That was what I was afraid of. But at that moment, I was just like, God, if this is the way you want me to go, then I accept it. But I don't think it's fair to my kids. And I think he realized that. I think he realized that I wasn't afraid. I think he realized that I wasn't intimidated by what he was doing. So that made him even more upset. And he takes the gun away, gets the gun, and hits me across the side of the face with it, in the head. I go running to my son's room, my oldest son, which now I regret that, because one, I didn't solve anything with that, but to cause him trauma that he's going to live with the rest of his life. Because still to this day, he's 24 years old. He remembers that day to a T. So I go in there, I tell him, get the phone, because we had a house phone. I said, get the phone and call the police. because he wants to kill me. He grabs the phone. In that moment, my ex comes in, snatches the phone away from him. I grab my son's cell phone. He grabs that away from me, almost breaks my finger, breaks the phone, breaks the house phone. He ends up leaving because, now by then, like, my daughter's awake, my son's awake, everyone's awake, everyone's like realizing there's a bad situation going on. So he leaves, and like, I have no one to call. Let's talk about this real quick. So here I am, a mother with 4 kids and no one to call. Like, I can't call my mom. I can't call my siblings. I could have called a friend, but at the moment, I felt embarrassed to call a friend. But the people that were closest to me that I should have felt comfortable calling, I could not call. I couldn't call because I knew they were going to judge me. I couldn't call because I knew they were not going to be a healthy, helpful source. So I had to suck it up. Somehow I said, well, let me call his dad. So I call my father-in-law. And of course he says, oh, don't call the police. That's just going to be detrimental to him. He's the father of your kids. They're going to take him to jail. It's the holidays. Don't do that. And now I think back and I'm like, are you effing serious? Yeah. Tell that to your son that was about to kill me during the holidays. But he wasn't worried about that. He was worried about his son's ass, his son not getting in trouble, his son not getting caught. Because let me just tell you guys this. I'm not the first victim, and I'm not going to mention names, but I'm just going to say there's 4 other women in the roster of being physically abused by this